Thank you for coming here at such a late time when you could have been sleeping or recovering from a hangover or something. I'm very happy to see you here. Tonight we're just gonna make a song, maybe a Sonic style song, because of this year's MAGFest theme, and let's just see where it goes. I don't have anything planned per se, but I haven't studied music, just so many of you probably don't know this. So I'm not gonna be explaining things as I go in any particular way. So just bear with me and try to have some fun with this thing. All right, cool. So, what type of song are we making? So we know we want to make a class. Let's go with a classic Sonic styled song. Let me see a show of hands for a happy song, like a first stage kind of thing. Okay, not a lot of interest. Let me show boss theme. That's okay. That's stronger. Uh, like a high octane kind of thing, like something really. Yeah, drum and bass. Okay, all right. Let's see where this goes. Let's get started. Feel free to talk to each other if you want. So I got the bass loaded up. I'm just gonna start with this. We're gonna be using stock VSTs that come with FL Studio. So, because I don't have anything installed here, I was not sure what I was gonna do tonight at all. So just treat this as a kind of like a hangout sort of thing. And feel free to ask questions along the way. Just raise your hand, and if I'll try to answer it as best as I can with my limited. Oh, okay, already? All right, go ahead. Ideally, 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 but not all the time. And there's some big profile stuff I've done that didn't provide me with any of that, and it was just a wild guess. And when I finally saw my music with the game, I confirmed that it did not match at all. Like, yeah, like the hiring entity giving me, oh, just come up with a mysterious water themed song for the project, and I come up with something mysterious, but then the stage is like colorful and happy. So I'm like, oh my god, that's happened for real in games that you've probably played if you're a Sonic fan very recently. I'm not gonna get into any more detail than that, but it happens more often than I would like. Next, you had a question too? The what? Sorry? That's a good question. I think yeah, we should make it available. I'll probably like post the FLP somewhere if you guys use FL Studio, but if not, I'll just make MIDIs available or something. But what's that? Or that. Yeah, that works. So let's get started and see what happens here. Since I already have the bass loaded up, we're gonna start with that. Let's make something menacing. Let's look for some sounds for maybe chords. Or I wish I had my MIDI keyboard to try out these sounds. I don't, so let's do something random and work with something. I see. Was that? No, no, we're not gonna we're gonna make something more interesting. It's gonna be more random. So I'm not gonna listen to the sounds I pick, and whatever I pick, that's what I have to work with. Okay, let's simplify yet complicate things for me. So, sorry, that's gonna work for something sinister, I'm sure. That's funny when you play by itself, right? It's like someone's laughing. Okay. Okay, we got a bass line. We have some minor chords here. Make it sound extra sinister. And now we're gonna create a beat for it. So new pattern. Gonna choose the kick. That's 90s as hell. It's like a basketball kind of kick. All right. It's like a heartbeat kind of thing. Can you guys believe my friends came here just to laugh at me? It's incredible. I love you guys. Amazing. That's how you see who your real friends are. They laugh, but they're present. They come to see you, to support you. Thank you, guys. All right, so an organ, maybe? No. Let's come up with a melody for this thing that we have here. Should I sample that? I think I'm gonna sample that. The settings are still kind of. Yes, sir. Everything except what I'm using right now. This is a brand new laptop that I bought for the purpose of DJing only. So I just installed FL Studio to test out the. Can I record this and just sample it? Just to test it out, to test out the CPU and stuff, but I didn't get to install a lot of stuff. Fortunately, FL Studio now comes with a bunch of preloaded instruments, so we can just use that. But there's definitely a lot of stuff out there, way better and way more expensive, by the way, than what FL Studio comes with. Although I believe it's more about the music than it is about the instrumentation, always. So, enable me. Okay, good. I'm gonna humanize this a little bit. am I going to do that? By changing the velocities around a little bit, as if somebody was actually playing this thing. But I don't want to make it too realistic, because we're still talking about a Sonic game, and I think one of the characters, a classic Sonic game anyway, and to me one of the characteristics of it is that it doesn't sound too real, because it was limited by the hardware of the time, right? So that's an important thing when you're making music for 90s games. It's taking shape. So now I'm gonna take this pattern right here. It's okay, I'm used to this. I have a 1-year-old, so half of the time I'm making music and listening to him crying, so that's fine. I'm gonna make this unique and change this pattern around. I'm gonna add a snare. Now I'm distracted by it. ADHD, that's what it does to you. I'm gonna change the sound of this lead. I don't think it stands out enough in the middle of all this stuff. Oh, we're gonna need that eventually, you know it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna clone that and then go back and change the instrument into something else. But that's already gonna be used at some point for sure. Now I want to see if I can find some synth instruments. Let me see what we have here. Fantasia, I believe, has kind of like a bell type of quality, which sounds cutesy, but it can be used to convey darker feelings. This one shouldn't have been, so I'm just gonna copy this. Move this here and Probably gonna load some strings or some kind of a pad now. Yes. I wish I could. I can't. Let me be honest with you. I have no idea what I'm doing. Seriously, the notes just come up in my head and I just write them down as I go. I wish I could explain it to you in a way that would make you understand what I'm doing. I don't have that ability, unfortunately. Yeah. Strings work well as a pad. It's just something that it's a layer that I'm trying to add to the uh, to the background of the song or the bottom of the song, if that makes any sense. You're gonna realize why. Look what it adds it just fills up that. It's not something you probably would notice if you didn't put, your attention, if you didn't turn your attention towards it, but it makes a big difference when you're trying to keep the song evolving, but you don't want to be too drastic about the way it evolves, right? Because there's, not always, because music is a free thing, but sometimes there's a natural evolution of things, like in a way that sounds good. They gave me the worst room at the worst time, didn't they? You see how it keeps evolving, but you're not really adding anything too crazy to the song. And now, using the same chords, I'm gonna create a different melody with a different instrument. So yes, I go through this process. I listen to the same thing over and over and over and over. And I guess I just change notes as I go. Maybe this would sound better. Let me change that, and I just go and change stuff around until it sounds good to me. One thing I consider very important most of the time for my style of production is note length, right? I don't like legatos all the time, especially if I'm trying to make it more expressive. See, it doesn't seem like a big difference, but it is important that this... Oh, yeah, go ahead. That's a good question. I wanted to draw for most of my childhood. I wanted to be an animator until I was maybe 15 or 16. No, 15, yeah. And then I found a way to program my music through a software called Music 2000 for the PlayStation 1, all right? Or as it's known in the US, MTV Music Generation. So from the moment I found out that I was able to program music, that I didn't have to actually know how to perform, everything changed for me, right? It opened up a world of possibilities. And so big was that I just quit drawing altogether and chose the music path. That's how intrigued I was by it. So, yeah, to give you the short story, that's kind of what happened. Yes? Yeah. Right. I program everything. I have a MIDI keyboard next to me with the sole purpose of trying out sounds, right? So I'll set up like a or create a preset or whatever, and dee, 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 dee. Okay, sounds good, and I won't touch it again for the rest of the session until I need a new sound or something like that, which is what we're lacking today. That's why I'm just throwing in random instruments, quote unquote. But listen to this. I'm actually gonna solo this melody, so you can see how much difference these nuances make. I do a lot of micro editing to a point that many would consider sick sometimes, right? Because it just seems like it's a lot. But every edit I do serves in my head a certain purpose. I compare that with this. Dun, dun, dun. Like there's an extra oomph to it, you know what I mean? Because that silence creates a little bit of tension right there, which it's really short, but it's very effective. See how it drags out? It gives a different feeling to it, different feel. Yes. Yes, it's very important to like what you're making because why else would you be making it, right? Unless you're just doing it for the money, but I think it's super important, especially if it's something that you're giving to people for their enjoyment, which is the way I treat music. It's definitely important that you respect what you're giving people, right? Because if you're giving people something you don't enjoy yourself, I don't think that's very genuine of an artist. You know what I mean? So I try to make something I enjoy, and hopefully everybody else enjoys it as well. I'm gonna take those choir ahs and just duplicate them and reinforce them with the strings over here. Very good. Now I'm gonna create an extra layer of percussion, which I'm gonna add to the later parts of the song to help it develop and evolve as it goes. Extra hat. Start filling up those high end, that high end. Did I just override my kick? I don't hear it anymore. Ah, yes I did. Yes I did. I gotta put that back in. Okay, let's move on to the next section. I'm gonna chop it. This is Alt U. Now I'm gonna duplicate this and build up on that melody I just created. Yes. Uh, Vibrato, expression, many times. But this really depends on the style of music I'm working on. But I tend to use pitch bend and vibrato a lot to bring some expression to my stuff. I'm gonna exemplify in a little bit, so you can see what I mean. Yeah. Can I ask you to speak a little bit louder? I know of them. I'm not super familiar with with their music, but I know they're very popular and very liked by a lot of people. So making what? Who knows? You know, I'm open to many things when it comes to music. No. Okay, I like that. This is a little bit of a more hopeful section. When you want to, in my point of view, when you want to relieve the tension a little bit, you create a section like this to take the listener through a journey of feelings of sorts that are all related to the same vibe, right? So if you were the character in the game and you were in danger, there's this sense of danger, but you're also the hero. So there's a heroic part to drive the player forward, if that makes sense. Which I try to incorporate. This would be it. So basically, I took the same melody I used right here. Just goes back to it, and I modify it. And now we're gonna rest here for a little bit, so we can go back. And that's your heroic section of the thing, which I'm gonna keep working on. I'm gonna duplicate this core over here, just add a different sound. And now I'm gonna start adding some detail to this section. I'm gonna double up those strings an octave down. Let's try to add some drama. with a tubular valve. It's one of my favorite instruments to use, by the way, because it just has such emotional weight for some reason. Okay, what do we have so far? Like a final stage kind of vibe. I need a drum break right here to add some variety. So I'm gonna make this unique. That's Casino Night Zone, by the way. My brain is half here and half there. Notice how I'm messing around with the individual note volumes? Listen to that versus this. This is more of a shot machine gun effect, you know? But when you change the dynamics a little bit, it's subtle, but all of a sudden it's like someone is playing it. I can't explain it. And that's our break. I want something there to break it up. It's gonna be a crash cymbal. Let's add the bass to this section. I'm gonna go ask them if they want to come play over here. Yeah, what's up? Move the wall. Yeah. Right. Johnny. Yeah. Right. No, it was just available. It was already loaded up, and I said, okay, let's just start with that. Was that? Yes. Yes. Yeah. It depends on what is the first idea that comes to mind. Is it a melody? Is it a bass pattern, or sometimes it's the beat that comes first. It depends. Okay. that's the right note. Okay, so that's the same pattern. What I'm gonna do now is merge these two patterns I just created. They're the same right now, but as I merge them, I can go into this and switch it around a little bit, move some chords around and some notes around. But this has been doubled up, so what I'm gonna do is delete the entire thing. No, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe just the bottom layer here. Okay, this is it. This is it. I'm gonna change the chords around a little bit. You know what? I changed my mind. I'm gonna make it its own pattern again and just work with that. This happens a lot, by the way. I'm always trying to look for the most practical way of turning my idea into reality here. That works. act, so it dies in half an hour. Cool. Dun, 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 dun. Let's listen to it. Oh, no, I still have to change a couple of things. I'm gonna create an arpeggio. It's gonna add some additional motion to the song. Why do I want more motion here? Because we're about to go to the next section, and I want to create some tension here. So he's gonna build up, build up, build up, and then eventually just explode. Sonic music does this a lot for some reason. It's in a bunch of different songs. In a bunch of different songs throughout Sonic history. But now I'm gonna change this instrument because that's not what I want for this. I want something a little pluckier. It's not gonna have a lot of prominence. This thing I just did is gonna stay in the background, just adding a little something extra to the song. Let's listen to it. Everybody's in the back. Got that drum break I created before. Stick it in there. Percussion comes in. Okay. See that's a basic demo. Yeah, thank you. That we can just expand upon forever until we're satisfied or until the client is satisfied rather. Yes. No, I work until I'm satisfied. Once I think it's, good enough that I'm, getting a good feeling out of it, that's when I export it. Yes. Not the final mix. I mix as I go. If the frequencies start getting in the way of the production, right? So I have a kick that's really strong and a bass that's also really strong and they're kind of interfering with each other, I will cut some frequencies and stuff or add some effects. But aside when the music is finished, I export everything and have somebody else that actually knows what they're doing, mix it and master it to really have it sound professional. I saw another hand up. Did I? Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah. Sure. It depends on again. It depends on the type of music I'm making. If it has to be like really tight because it's like an electronic kind of vibe, or I'm trying to recreate what they did back in the day with like drum machines and all that stuff, I'm gonna stay square with it. If I'm trying to recreate a live band, if that's even possible, I'm gonna try to be a little bit looser with the note positioning and all that stuff. Yeah. This is insane. I don't know. I don't know how I'm able to compose with a song playing in the background. But gonna start adding some detail to the beat. So it's like I told you guys, I could be here adding detail forever and ever and ever. But many times I deliver demos like this to see what the client thinks. And if they think it's a good start to the song, I'll go ahead and finish it. But a lot of the stuff goes out in this state, like kind of like this. Sometimes it doesn't fit the project in the perspective of the developer. So good thing we didn't go any further with the song, right? We have a solid idea to present, and if they consider it good, consider it's the right vibe for the stage or for the game, we keep moving forward. If not, scrap it all and just start from the beginning. That's how I do it anyway. I'm not one to go back and change songs too much, because I believe that many times if the client doesn't like the song the first time you show it to them, there's not much you can do to change their perspective. Because they're gonna be fixated on that. This is not it. And no matter how much you change it around, it's gonna save you time to just scrap the entire thing and start from the beginning. At least in my experience. How many of you here are composers? Oh, there's a bunch of you. Okay, you too. All right, cool. For video games specifically, anybody worked on video games? Wow. Okay, cool. That's more than I assumed. Really cool. Okay, so I said I was going to get into expression and the pitch bend a little bit. Which is actually something I tend to play with a lot. So I'm just gonna start bending some of these notes. All right. I see. Yeah, there's certain stuff I don't know how to do with this VST, but it doesn't matter. Okay, it's just for demonstration purposes. So I'm gonna kind of improvise here. Yes. No, no, no. Just this exactly what you're saying. No more, no less. Yes. Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry, it's so noisy. Yeah. I. That's a good question. I would probably listen to the reference as much as I could and try to figure out what are the key elements of that reference. What makes it what it is? And then take that and manipulate it into being something different, be it through chords or through the melody or changes in instrumentation and stuff. I guess that would be my personal approach to it. Not that I've been asked to do that many times. People mostly ask me to do more of my previous stuff, which I'm not a big fan of because I'm always trying to do different stuff, right? But it happens a lot when people know you for a certain style and they have a project that they think asks for that style. They'll ask you to, oh, can you do something like kind of like Sonic Mania for this? But in my perspective, Sonic Mania has its own sound identity, and it's not something I'm trying to replicate. And I've turned down projects because of that, because people were looking for that, and I was not interested in going down that path. Yeah, the kind that I haven't made yet. I'm always looking to do to expand towards uh, outside of my comfort zone, right? To make that comfort zone as big as possible in the sense that I'm comfortable with lots of different styles and genres to the point that I can combine them and create something completely new. You know what I mean? Because that's how genres are born, right? It's always a mix of something that existed previously that somebody liked, I don't know, two or three genres of music and decided to combine it into something completely new. That's how you get new and fresh stuff. So that's what I try to do with my music. Yeah. Probably Johnny asked me that question just today, and I told him TMNT. Why? Partly because of the collaborations, because of the people I was able to work with that came in and enhanced the product, tenfold. So that was a great privilege for me and a pleasure, and I loved it also because they gave me complete freedom to do what I wanted. They trusted me to, just do your thing, and so that was great, right? When you have that kind of freedom to do whatever you want, it becomes a much better, much easier project to tackle and much more pleasant too. Yes. Um, I really love the songs that where I got to collaborate with talented artists the most because my own music bores me. I don't like listening to my stuff too much. I don't really play the games that I've worked on unless the game is like something that really attracts me because listening to my own music is kind of unbearable after a while. But when I add elements from the outside, that makes it more interesting for me because now it's not just my music. It's my music, but with somebody else's input and talent, and so it makes it a lot better. For that reason, those are my favorite types of things, projects. Yeah. Oh, I wish I could hear you, but it's. So for TMNT, it's a very street-like vibe, right? So I was trying to gather as many styles as I could from the late 80s, early 90s, right? That period of time when TMNT was really at its peak. And, uh, and just work with that. Like, try to think what are the urban music that was being, what is the urban music that was being listened to back in the day and people were like grooving to and breakdancing and beatboxing and, all of that stuff. But also, there's also a certain edge to it that you can find like through rock and some of the EDM stuff that I threw in there, which are genres that pertain more to the nightlife style, but it's still an urban kind of thing. So those were the genres that I tried to work with to kind of portray the whole city vibe. You know what I mean? Thank you. And I saw hands up down there somewhere. Did I? Yeah. Was that I look up to? Do you mean like what do I get inspiration from? Yes. Oh, not any specific artists really. Just whatever appeals to me at the moment. If there's like many times I just listen to interesting music that I find interesting, and I notice certain elements that that is really cool what I just heard. Let me save that in my memory so that I can apply it to one of my songs in the future, kind of thing. So I do a lot of that. Save like little pieces and bits of stuff that I hear randomly many times. It's not even that I'm looking for it. It's just I hear a song on the radio or on Spotify or whatever that just comes up randomly. Like, oh, that little thing. Sometimes I don't even like the entire song. It's just that little thing that was so interesting. It's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna save it, even though it saves automatically. Like, if it's really interesting to me, and then I take those. It's like having a toolkit, right? That you can apply here and there to make your songs more interesting. But as for a specific inspirations or people I'm trying to emulate, I mean, I listen to so much different stuff that it would be hard to just point out specific artists for you. And again, it depends a lot on what I'm working on. A lot of my music is driven by the vibe of the game itself, right? When I'm lucky enough to try it before I start making music for it. So that's a big driving force. Yes. So many, man. So many artists that I'm a big fan of. But since you asked me to be more specific, I'll say Yuzo Koshiro. I think he's a big inspiration to so many of us, right? Of that grew up playing Streets of Rage and all of the games that he composed for. He really left a mark in the '90s game scene, right? And it's still he's still that legend. So I guess many of us take inspiration from his stuff, old and new. And I definitely did. Yes. I've never been asked that before. I think Benny's big breakaway was challenging in the sense that I was once again trying to delve into new territories, and stuff that I had never. I took many cues from '70s music, '70s synth music, right? When at the dawn of synth music, when they were just starting to mess with that stuff. So that's something I had never done before, or was even exposed to for most of my life. But I went to listen to that stuff, take some cues, because also the director helped me with the direction that he had that direction in mind, right? But with that said, I went and I studied and tried to get as many elements from it as possible. But it was challenging because I was trying to bring somebody else's vision to life. You know what I mean? So that's always a challenge because you can't read people's minds, and sometimes their ideas are so specific for what they want that it's really hard to, especially if there's problems with communication, right? I don't speak music, and the director doesn't speak music either, but so there's a lot of back and forth with demos and stuff when that happens. Yeah. Yeah, for Studiopolis, for example, was a track that I was very, very happy to compose because that was, the first song that I made for Sonic Mania, right? It was the one that started it all. So I think you can tell in the song's vibe. I didn't even have a stage to look at the time, so no visuals whatsoever. I had a description of the stage, but I was just so happy to be a part of the project that when they hired me to do it, I started working on the same day. Yeah, like I got an email in the morning. I was so excited about it that I guess the ideas just started flowing, and I came up with that track in like an hour, maybe. There's days like that. And then there's other times that you put so much into a track and it's meaningless in the sense that it doesn't come from within. You know what I mean? It's a superficial track. But tracks like Studiopolis, like Titanic Monarch definitely come from an emotional place. And I think people can, I don't know if people can tell, but they can definitely feel it. They can definitely feel it. There's something about it that's powerful, and that's because it's true. It's there's true emotions being translated into sound. So that's my answer for you. Yes. Sure. Since I answered your question recently, yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna be that honest with you, and I hope this doesn't sound pretentious in any way. I don't deal with writer's block a lot, fortunately. So, uh, uh, what would I do if I was dealing with writer's block? I'd probably go listen to some of my favorite stuff, or okay, let's say you have a deadline, right? And you have this stage that you have to compose for urgently. Maybe I would go on YouTube and look up similar stages with a similar vibe from other games and take cues from that. Maybe take that entirely and change it into something unrecognizable. It's not the song you stole from anymore. Now it's completely different thing, right? So maybe that's a way yeah, maybe that's a solution. I don't know, but I personally don't deal with that too much. Luckily, yes. Samba de Janeiro, it just went with that Penny song. It was a good mashup. That's the only reason. Yeah, and I think it's also in Super Monkey Ball, isn't it? Right, one of them. So I thought it was a good thing to, it's a Sonic themed convention. It's a Sega game, so why not bring it together? Some of the Amigo. Right. Okay. So I think it's Samba the Amigo. Actually, that's where the song is from. Not. I was thinking of a Sega monkey, but I wasn't sure which one it was anymore. If it was the one inside of the ball or if it was the one with the maracas. You had a question, right? Yeah. No. I see the stage. I see some concept art and stuff most of the time. Most of the time I do, but sometimes there are projects that they want me to start working on before there are any assets available. So they'll just give me a general idea of what they're looking for. Many times I'll compose a song that works initially, but then the game changes so much that we find out that that doesn't work anymore. So we got to scrap it all together and just start anew. Yeah. Yes. Yes, because it was so recent. It was so recent. Sonic Superstars, for example. I worked on a few songs completely blindly, not knowing what the stages were going to look like at all, because that information just wasn't given to me, it wasn't available yet, I guess. And I found out later upon playing the game that it didn't really match, or not the way I would have wanted it to match if I had seen the visuals prior to starting working on the song. The description was very vague. It was for the water stage, and they wanted a mysterious water song. That was the description. Just make me a song that fits in a water stage and make it mysterious. That's all I got, and I had to work off of that. So, I guess I'm so used to Sonic music at this point that it was doable, but there was a risk. And to a certain degree, I didn't think it fit 100%. I would have done something different, definitely, if I could have looked at it before. Any other questions, guys? Yes. On what? No. No, I learned Tracker a couple of years ago just for fun, just to see what it was about, but I never actually made anything anything good or relevant. It was just like an experiment, but I never really got into trackers that way. Yes, Tom. Yeah. Yep. Yes. Yes. I try to vary as much as I can, and stick as many genres as I can into a game, and just to try not to make it repetitive. And also, like I said before, it's challenging, right? It's a fun challenge for me to try to do something different from what I've been doing up to this point. Yeah, and I've went back and made changes specifically to avoid, some maybe two songs that were too similar, even from different games. Like, oh, this sounds a little bit like something I've done in the past for this other game, so let me go and change it up a little bit. Yeah, but I do it for me because I know many people wouldn't even notice. But when I listen to it, it's like, ah, man, yeah, I'm doing this thing again that I already did. So, yeah, there's that. Any other questions, my friends? Yes. You know the answer to this so well, right? Right. Meet as many people as you can. This industry, like so many industries, like most industries, is, and I'm sorry to say this, but it's the truth, is very much about who you know and about who knows you, about who knows they can count on you when they need music for their game. And you want to make sure that you have as big as a network as you possibly can so that those opportunities just keep coming from every direction and you get to a point where you can choose what you want to do. But my advice is, of course, aside from honing your skills and trying to be the best musician you can be, the best composer you can be, would be to really go out there and meeting as many people as possible, making those connections and making friends. 5 minutes, yeah. So I guess we have 5 minutes left. Yes. Can I what? Yeah. It's not the best thing I've made, but considering the conditions, it's surprising I was able to make anything at all. But classic Sonic song would be about this length. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you just heard the song just now. Okay. Okay. Right. I always try to go for a loop, for a perfect loop because of the format, right? But then you have the album version to which I try to add an ending, a proper ending, and all that stuff. But for the game's purposes, usually the song has to loop as seamlessly as best possible. Yeah, guys, I think we have time for one more question before we go. Yes, the biggest risk, uh, maybe trying to charge way above what I was charging at a given time. I ran the risk of losing a project because of it, but it paid off in the end. So you do have to have you know the cojones to do it sometimes and push it and try to see what. Otherwise, you'll never move from the same from your rate from your current rate. So you have to try to push it slowly. Take some risks. It's just a part of anything, right? Any industry and any job. But yeah, guys, I want to thank you all so much for hanging out. Let's call this a hangout. It was a lot of fun, and yeah, thank you for coming.